At this time of year, the grouse are sitting pretty, taking flight only when the beating line or a dog's nose is too close for comfort. Later in the season, however, it's a different story. A grouse is wiser, scurrying as fast as its little legs will carry it through the heather at the sound of the first cartridge being slipped into the side-by-side. But fear not, a late walked-up grouse day can still be a success thanks to some high-rise kite flying. I'm in Scotland to meet author and kite pilot Alastair Robertson, who is going to walk me through the technique.
The original kite that I came across came from Easter Elkis near Craigellachie, and it was used for walking up grouse rather late in the season when the grouse were quite wild and you weren't beating or anything, you weren't having beaters or standing or anything. So you would have somebody in the line would go with this kite, you have the wind behind you, and you'd walk up slowly, preferably going up slightly up the side of a hill, so you hope the grouse to the other side, and they would see this hovering bird. And when they see that, they will not shift, they won't move. Well, they won't move immediately, but that gives you the chance, gives the dogs and you to get up to them. And actually there are prints, old prints of this being done. The only one I've actually seen is a Thorburn, which is actually with partridges. And in Salisbury Plain they used to do it. They used to shoot partridges under a kite. In fact, I can't remember the name of the village, but there is a village where they got the kite in the local museum there. And but grouse, I think there is another print. We'll see how it works.
It takes Alastair a number of attempts to get it up. No tittering in the cheap seats, please. But eventually our aerobatic bird scarer is looking menacing enough to make any grouse rigid with fear. Alastair loves his Scottish sport and is the only person in the country who has a dedicated Fieldsports column in a national paper. He's also written a book explaining the fundamentals of Scottish sport, such as why we burn heather and who owns the land and the rivers.
I mean, anybody who don't have to be foreign would ask, one of the things you want to know is, well, how much does it cost to shoot a grouse? I mean, it's almost like a secret society if you want to know that sort of information. Where do you find it? You have to go ploughing around Google, you'll find it. But it's not just that. Or how much, can anybody catch a salmon? Can you shoot game on a Sunday? Actually, the answer rather surprisingly is yes. But you can't catch a salmon on a Sunday.
There's a perception, of course, that shooting, fishing and stalking is extraordinarily expensive in Scotland. If I buy this book, am I going to get a sort of sense of getting some free grouse shooting?
It'll certainly put you in the right direction for possibly not free grouse shooting, but it particularly explains that everybody thinks of grouse shooting as being huge sums of money and people standing in rows and hundreds of beaters and all the rest of it. Well, of course, the truth is that probably more grouse shooting is done by just people plodding across heather, a few friends with dogs and that sort of thing. And it need not be at all expensive, and particularly, pheasant shooting. It's just people. You can just go out and talk to a local farmer and walk up and down a hedgerow and everything for a few pounds, perhaps nothing, perhaps a bottle of whiskey.
Whiskey, another reason to visit Scotland. Right, back to the kite. Alastair explains that it is now easy to handle and after a successful demo we can now pack up. Unfortunately, landing the bird is not a textbook affair and it gets stuck in the tallest tree we can find. Back to the kite simulator for Alastair. If you would like to impress your friends by explaining the who's, whens and whys of Scottish sport, then Robertson's Guide to Field Sports in Scotland, Shooting, Fishing and Stalking Explained, is available on Amazon, or go to his website alastairrobertson.co.uk.